So you're not ready. I'm
Okay,
confused.
I'm ready.
Is your King drill look good?
Yeah.
Looks nice?
Yeah. I have a list for $500.
$500? Your Kingdra? From the promo? Oh my god. Dude. Alright. Collectibles and money, everybody. Here we go. Power. Kingdras.
Collectibles.
$500.
Promo cards.
The one podcast where cardboard and money come together.
In one epic turn of events.
John Jessel.
Alex Fernandez. Licensed CFP.
All right. Welcome back to Lucas's room, John. We're here to talk about cardboard and money. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good.
Did you actually list your King?
I did. I just put it up there just for S and giggles.
My God.
I mean, to me, it's amazing, and it's also funny that the other day you called and said, "Oh wow, look at the King pricing," and I'm like, "Oh, dude, how else can I make this more epic? Oh, I could list it and sell it for $500 and talk about it on the podcast."
Oh my God!
Regrettably, it hasn't had a bunch of watchers, but it's already come down in price. It's like $300 something.
Dude,
so.
now the Kingdra is like a beautiful card to like start us off here today because we're talking about a card who. How long ago did you not get it back from PSA? How long ago did you send it? I actually probably have it in the app.
You would know. I think we sent it in like January, and we got it back in April.
Oh my love! Because when you sent it, it was like roughly like
it was like in the good 150 range for a PSA. When I got the cards back, the card was only like $98 to $100, so it dropped.
Let's see it right here. This is the one where you sent it in. Yeah, so we sent that. It was complete. No, that can't be right.
I think we sent it February, and it came back in like April or May.
Here it is. Yeah, June. Yeah. So the order arrived in March. Okay, so in March when you sent it, it was like $150-ish dollars.
Yeah.
When you got it back, it had dipped a little bit.
So like $90 to $100.
And you got it back, and it says in here we got it back in June. So
from June to now.
So June 6th, when you got that card back, it was sub $100 in a PSA 10. Correct. Right? So literally, and then from then until now, so it started to trickle up. I know I saw it at like $200, and then I saw that Pokebeard video where literally someone commented now it's at $400, and now John has it listed for $500,
which is unrealistic because again, there's already listings now for under $4.
But is it unrealistic?
I mean, again, it's one of those. It's kind of one of those. It's like the cards in the collection that you have that you don't really want to sell, but you're okay if it's a price that, you can see yourself saying like, okay, how can I not take this?
And to be fair,
I have it up there, and if somebody wants it, and great, and if not, then I'm happy to still have it in my collection.
And to be fair, the Kingdra is definitely like a card that you have been on. Like I said, from the moment the card came out, you were all over that card, saying how amazing it was and how much better than the Greninja it was, and how just not even just better than the Greninja. You've been on that card talking about how awesome it is for a while. So
dude, I feel like that card alone, like as far as artwork, we're talking artistic talent on the card and what it showcases. Yeah, I think that card is a sleeper and was a sleeper for a long time because I bought those copies. I bought 5 raw copies for $8 a piece.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
and then I sent 2 to get graded, and I sold 3 in like which I should have kept now because they're like $60 to $80 now as opposed to, but I sold them for like $30 a piece.
Yeah.
But the artwork, that should have been a hit.
In the set.
The fact that they gave that a promo, I could not believe it. That should have been a hit in the set because if you look at all promo cards, except for like the Evolutions, like that's a top contender. That would be a top 10, I feel like, as far as artistic work for promos.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I just think phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, again, the art definitely, no denying the art is incredible, like I said, but it is like kind of like embodies the market that we're in, right? Because again, this card in the matter of a few months went from $100 to $400. We were able to list it for $500, but really like over the course of overnight, like went up like 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Bananas.
So let me ask you about that because here's my thought process. I've been thinking. To me, I've noticed that we're in the era right now where like we're just seeing kind of everything sporadically going up. And my thought is that because everything, what I'm seeing, it's like kind of like the opposite, the fishnet technique of the pricing's just going up where like someone's targeting a certain thing or people are doing a mass buyout, whatever it is. It gets to a point where the price is like astronomical unless you just have the biggest huevos or the biggest capital to do it, you're buying that stuff. But I feel like that forces the process of people going, okay, what's the next thing that I can get?
Yeah.
And then it instantly trickles into the next thing because we're just seeing a significant, I mean, we noticed what, when we were looking at like the Greninjas and like the Hoopas, just taking these spikes, these massive spikes. And people were just going ham. And then it was like, okay, that card's now gotten to the point where for most people it's unreachable.
Yeah.
Now it's like, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
And so it's almost like we're just knocking out the cards one by one as we continue to go down this 100%. For no rhyme or reason. It's just, they're just going down. It's like, all right, what's the card that we can, grab next? And then there's just no end in sight because there's just so many cards.
See, and that's why I think it's
I don't know if there's a term for that. But
I mean, so I don't know if there's a term for it necessarily, but I think it's funny, right? Because I feel like that's like when you look at like comparing collectibles to like the stock market. I feel like the big difference there is that with the stock market, you don't have that same like searching and scanning for, again, because with Pokemon it's artwork, right? I'm scanning through and like, rarity and like how rare, what rarity tier is this card. So there's like really identifiable, like I can compare this card to that card because I can compare rarity, I can compare the character.
Maybe the year it came out, the pop report.
There's also really easy things for like the everyday person to like, kind of like, because all those things we're talking about are called fundamentals. And it's a lot easier to analyze fundamentals in TCGs because they're things you understand. But so in the stock market, to make my point, in the stock market, what you tend to see is individual names just running and running and running and running and just going and going and going and going because everybody gets locked into these certain names, and they don't really like fall off the names. Everyone kind of flocks to it and kind of just like centers around this one name, whereas in collectibles, once cards hit like a certain point and they kind of run away from where they were to a certain point, people do exactly what you just said. They start looking for alternatives, like what is the next thing for me to go after. And I feel like that definitely creates this domino type of scenario in collectibles where, again, and I think part of it also is just the psychology of FOMO, right? Because I feel like when you get to those stages, because you've done it, I've done it, where it's like you're in that, where you're watching these cards go up and another one go up and another one go up, and then now you're searching for what hasn't gone up, what's next, what have people been missing, and you start scanning, you see a card, maybe this one, you pass on it for whatever reason, this card, now you pass on it for whatever reason, and all of a sudden, one of the ones you just looked at starts spiking. Now, the reason that you passed on it kind of starts vanishing from your brain, and the FOMO just like completely starts taking over.
But it's also that feeling of like, damn, I was right. And I was like,
but that makes the FOMO even worse.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like that makes the FOMO even worse because you were like, oh, like, dude, I could have done it.
I
like,
called it and didn't do it.
I saw it. I was thinking about it. I didn't do it. And that almost makes you like, dude, that right there makes you want the card so badly. Like, dude, like, I can't even describe it. It's so funny how it's like, I never wanted the card. I came across it. I passed on it. But now that it's spiking in value, and because of what you just said, I'm like, I was there. I could have done this. It makes me want the card so bad.
Right. But it's not even the financial drive, I feel like. It's just because of the fact that you knew and you should have bought it.
Again, it is the financial, but it's funny because, again, that's where it kind of comes into it. It's like, whenever I tell people about like their stocks and their cards and everything, it's like you feel a certain way about it right now because it's making you money. If it stopped making you money, you would feel differently about it. And this is
because we were talking about how, like you said, like, people are like, I'll never sell this because,
it's because it's making you money.
Then as soon as it's losing you money, it's like,
your whole psychology changes about the same exact item. It's like, dude, it's like, it still blows my mind to this day how I'll hold a card in my collection forever, and then one day I'll pull the card out and it's quadrupled in value. It's like worth $1,000, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't see this as $1,000. It's weird. It's a very weird. It's the same card as it's always been, and it's never been worth this much money. Now all of a sudden, so again, I feel like that aspect of the psychology of just like how much you love it because it's making you money, and then once that changes, it shifts. I feel like that is super present in collectibles, and it's a very different thing from any other like investment pool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude.
I think that's spot on. Yeah. It's it's very interesting. It's just crazy.
Yeah, the FOMO is
it's the driving force, I feel like, with not just collectibles, but pretty much everything.
It's real in every investment pool there is, but in cards, because of the nature of the fundamentals being like characters that you probably like or have like some sort of connection to.
Or like you said, the artwork. Yeah.
The artwork that you really like and you enjoy it. You know what I mean? Again, it's like those, the nature of those fundamentals like make you want it way more than like what would be a stock. Stock's like, oh, it's delivering orders at a higher rate than it's like, okay. Like,
not as
this
fun.
card looks sick.
I want this on my dresser.
You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, it's like definitely like a more like just like relatable, easier identifiable for everyday people. And I feel like that definitely creates that like domino effect that you're talking about, because we're definitely seeing that all over the place right now. It literally feels like that. It feels like we saw that with celebrations.
Yep.
With celebrations, it kind of was like one after the other, which is like boom, 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 start to like follow each other up. Mm-hmm. And you'll definitely start to see that where it's like, again, I totally think with us coming into the 30th anniversary of Pokemon.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be a bloodbath.
Again, as
it's going to be a bloodbath.
As it's shaping up right now, it's not going to be pretty. That's for sure. We'll see how it shapes up, because it feels like it's like setting up at least potentially to kind of be like Celebrations a little bit.
Yeah.
Because Celebrations hype was at an all-time high when it first came out, and then it kind of like was dying into the release of Celebrations.
Yeah. I think that's fair, but I also
so we're not
think...
dying right now. We're not dying.
Right, but I think...
But we're still a little ways out. I don't know when the 30th comes out. But
it's going to be next year. I think it's like April is the actual date of the anniversary. There's time.
Still time.
So I do think that like it will have that same kind of effect, but it's just going to feel... It just won't feel the same, because I just think right now with the boom and how many people are in the hobby and in it, I just think... I don't think we'll see any sort of like the dips, maybe post it, but prior to it, I think just like if they make it as easy, like if they make the pack opening experience like kind of like the same as Celebrations, like to your point, and like the product's easy to, and they print the living crap out of it, then I think, yes, I do think that like, because again, what's the kind of thing that we've talked about with opening and gambling and opening packs and cards is that feeling of the dopamine of getting the hit, pulling it yourself. And I think Celebrations does a great job of that. It's like very much like Crown Zenith, and like being able to open a pack and like pretty much guarantee you're going to get like, or Japanese product, same thing. Like you're pretty much going to guarantee yourself an item that is sought after and it's a hit, and
so
it kind of
feels
feels,
good about.
It feels good. And I think that's what was made Celebrations. People would say like it was a downfall, but honestly a huge success because of that. Is that okay? Like it basically fed that dopamine feel and rush for everybody.
I feel like the issue with Celebrations was that the set was too small.
Yes.
I think
there was a lot of cards that they could have put in there with the stamp and really magnified it, made it, you know.
I think it killed the opening experience for a lot of people. I think that because again, like, you talk about that dopamine rush. I mean, it definitely is partially gambling, right? But it's also like, because it is about it is about the money. I mean, right? I mean, again, you open packs to get cards that are valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, most people do.
Yeah.
It has something to do with it. But also, again, you want to get more importantly, get something you just like feel excited about. And with Celebrations, especially when it was new and everywhere, and you could just like grab like boxes and boxes, it was not the type of set where like you go to the store and you clear off a shelf and you rip it. You really don't necessarily... You do that a second time, and it's going to be super lame, probably, because, again, you literally are going to see so many of the same cards that you already just saw the last time you did this. So there was no real incentive. So again, I think that's kind of why I feel like Celebrations is one that I always...
You did this
I always was always high on, even though it was never really well received because of what, number one, because of what you're saying, because the pack opening experience is really strong and you get consistently something you feel good about, especially when they're not new and they're out of print. Mm-hmm. But also, again, it is the cards in the set are super cool, dude. I mean, again, like some of those cards, like you're talking like Shining Magikarp, you're talking like Birthday Pikachu,
Umbreon like Star,
Umbreon Star, certain cards that you just cannot really acquire as a normal collector because they're so expensive. To where, again, you look at like, we're a finance channel, we're talking about, I mean, you look at some of these cards and how much they cost, like the regular versions, and then when you were looking at where some of these Celebrations cards were, but even where they are like right now, there's a lot of middle ground there. I mean, again, you know what I mean? Like, dude, a Umbreon Star, while yes, the Celebrations card is like not like exceedingly rare, dude, the regular one is impossible to acquire and it's super cool.
Again, card. Unless you have the huevos to
drop thousands of dollars on a card and again, and play in that pool. Again, like this is a really cool option for you.
Exactly.
Option for you. And I think that right there, again, especially when the card was like, when Umbreon Star was like $18 or whatever I was buying those cards for. I mean, again, you look at like, that's what makes Pokemon so strange, right? Is that like literally you look at it out there and like with stuff like the stock market, stocks don't really get out of like their value. If it falls too far out of line, it gets like realized and corrected like fairly reasonably quickly. Like in the card space, it's so wide and there's so many things going on that there's these cards that could literally just like completely fly under the radar and just be like the value of things can be so like weird like that, right? Mm-hmm. Like, this over here is worth thousands of dollars when there's, I'll give you a perfect example. The gray felt hat Pikachu. How is that card so expensive? That makes no sense, dude. It literally makes none whatsoever.
I think it's probably
the most
because
card in Pokemon history. Yeah. It's like one of the most faked cards in history. Mm-hmm. And literally still, it just continues to go up and up and up and up and up. Everything, it just defies everything.
Where's it at now at a PSA 10?
And at PSA 10, I think it's like north of $1,000. Like you said, I'm pretty sure it's like eclipsing $1,000.
Because raw, is it still in the $400 range?
Let's go to collector. Yeah, dude. That card right there is like the perfect example where it's like you look at that card and look at the value of it, but then you look at some of these other like vintage cards or even like some of these like promos that are just like way rarer and like I would argue like cooler, dude. They're like way cooler. Like the fundamentals are way stronger for them, right? And it just that doesn't mean anything. Right? Mm-hmm. No one cares. Like the gray felt hat Pikachu is going to continue to do what it's doing, and meanwhile, these other cards that, in my opinion, should be worth more, raw on collectors is $446 for the gray felt hat Pikachu. Oh man! And dude, right? Yeah, I got rid of mine too, dude. And literally between 9 and 10, there's over 80,000 PSA copies at PSA right now. Absolute madness.
I always forget it's called Pikachu with gray felt hat.
Pikachu with gray felt hat.
Oh my
See, like gosh. Stuff like that doesn't really happen a whole lot in the stock market. In the stock market, again, if something gets like far enough out of value, like it's going to get scooped up immediately just because that's like free money. You know what I mean? And in the Pokemon market, again, these things literally go like under the radar, and all of a sudden, yeah, like something you've been watching for a long time and hasn't moved from forever. You're like, oh, there's all the time in the world to buy that. All of a sudden, no, there's not, because you were right. That thing is way undervalued. Mm-hmm. But again, those things can just like lie in the shadows for so long, maybe even never to be discovered. Like I'll give you another perfect example on the flip side. My Ancient Mew. That card will never really command the value that it should because of the lack of education around the card and because of the amount of variance of it that people don't really know the difference between them. You know what I mean? That's like another perfect example of a card who I think that card is tremendously like ungodly how undervalued it is, but it doesn't matter because again, like it's just going to lie in the shadows and remain undervalued. So it definitely is. The Pokemon market.
You have that graded, correct?
It's graded in
a 9, right?
In a 9, yeah. The centering would never would I
let it go. But still, dude, for that ancient of a card, And for how rare it is, I think a 9 is
and it's mine forever and ever, so it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, that is like one of those things when it comes to like Pokemon cards and collectibles in general, is that you just gotta be really careful, because value and like is not only is it very like fickle, right? It's like the value of it is very subjective. It could, again, the markets might disagree with you, even though you're right. You know what I mean? Even though you are right. And that, again, could result in you buying something for the purposes of an investment and never really working out the way that you want it to. So again, you really need to ride that balance of, especially if you're doing this for like an investment purposes, I want this to be worth more money in the future. Yes, you want something that's going to be going up in price, but you got to think about getting too niche, right? If it's too niche, it makes it really difficult to move. It makes it really difficult for other people to recognize the value that you're trying to see. Mm-hmm. It's not like the stock market where there's like a market maker and you literally click a button and you're going to get the fair value. There's definitely a balance to ride between that. That's why I love these. Like the one thing I love about these modern cards in a PSA 10 is they're so liquid. Again, they can move so easily.
Mm-hmm. Very highly desirable. And the artworks are beautiful. I mean, there's no denying that the modern card artworks are like, and again, because of the fact that it's like a full art, covers the whole card, has a scene. I mean, that's just more enticing. It's changed the complete game of the Pokemon world.
So let me ask you a question. Like I said, in terms of like finance related. So in terms of right now, we are in a place where, what would you say like the like modern, like what should we say like the average like modern chase card in these Pokemon sets is running right now? Like $150, $200.
I'd say $200 to $300.
$200 to $300.
Yeah.
Right. So
I think it's a pretty good average.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, and I think you're probably gonna have like a handful of cards in that $50 to $100 range.
Yeah.
And then maybe like a card or two in the $multi-$100 range.
Yes.
And just about every set, unless it's like with some exceptions. So having said that, these cards obviously are coming out. The artwork is better than it's ever been. The conversation from like a value standpoint, modern versus vintage, in your opinion, because again, a lot of these vintage cards are significantly less than that. Yes, they're probably not going to be, especially if you're buying them raw, like you're not going to really, great PSA 10 probably like, we're not going to like, you can't do it the same way you can do it with modern cards. So which one has more potential longer term in your opinion?
Modern.
Again, this is not advice. Modern.
Yep.
Really?
Yep. I think, in my opinion, at least from what I'm seeing, I could be naive and completely wrong, but from what I'm seeing, the more
vintages won't resonate.
I don't think. I think vintage is becoming more vintage in the term of not so much rarer but older, and because of that, I think as we continue to grow Pokemon and as these modern sets continue to kick out and they keep stretching the limits, we just saw that leak for the Charizard for the Charizard card for the Mega Charizard.
Yeah.
As they continue to stretch the boundaries and continue to push and rise and make the cards more detailed and more artwork, I just don't see how vintage is going to, except if you're like older and you really did collect it. Because again, we have people who are, becoming our kids that are getting older who've never experienced that. And that is going to be the next wave. That's going to be the next filter of collectors where they grow up with the sets like Chilling Reign and Evolving Sky. Like they were young when they opened. That was their vintage box opening experience. And I think, again, I'm not saying that vintage is going to go down. I don't think vintage is going to move terribly.
Yeah, I'm not even necessarily saying like going to go down.
But I just think that modern, because of what they've done and because of how they've stretched the envelope with these alternate arts and like given you more, I just don't see. I just see that becoming the new standard. It's the new standard for Pokemon.
Yeah, so
to the point now where, like, again, you're opening cards, and if it doesn't, like, the disappointment of getting the cards and you're not hitting, like, outside of anything, like, even now you can get, like, an alternate art that's not even that expensive and feel really good about it because...
So here's how I'll say it to you. Okay, it's okay. So let's be super.
That's direct. My opinion.
And I'm actually glad I asked this question now. So for direct comparison's sake, I just looked it up real quick. Charizard, let's go Charizard, just to be really boring. Charizard base set unlimited Charizard. Running about, according to Collector, around $465
Okay.
or so, right? Up from like $350 a year ago. So probably up like, let's call it like 33, just to be super easy-ish %, like up a third.
Okay.
The Charizard from 151, $200 right now, right? You think 5 years from now, 10 years from now, which one will be up more percentage-wise? So, and that's kind of how I'm asking. I'm asking like, I'm saying, do you think, let's say, which one has a better chance to double? Let's put it that way. So do you think it's more likely that the base set Charizard is pushing $1,000 or the 151 Charizard is pushing $500?
I think 151 is pushing $500.
So that you're still true with that. That's again that's.
It's a bold statement. It's a bold opinion, but I do think that we should note that and look that up again.
No, 100%. But that is kind of like a big question, right? Because again, I feel like it is like age, because we're kind of putting two of the big TCG fundamentals, the like investment fundamentals, up against each other, which is collect old, like how old it is, right? Because I mean that's definitely like a collectible fundamental, like rarity and how old it is, because those two kind of go together. It's older and it's rarer on one side, or it's cooler and more aesthetically pleasing on the other side. That's kind of like basically it's which one of those fundamentals is going to push the market forward more so going into the future, right? Because the other side of the coin, which I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying. I genuinely don't know. That's why I'm asking. I'm curious about your opinion.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think a lot of people would agree with you because the cards just look so much better, and you can get them in a 10 so much easier. So again, I think a lot of people, the minute you drop it even to a 9, even though for like a vintage card that could be amazing, they're like, ugh.
Yeah, but see, when it comes to the grading, I wasn't even thinking about it in that retrospect, because again, I think that's honestly worse. Like the fact that, like, again, the newer cards are like so easy to grade, and again, it's like going to make more 10s, and
you think that hurts their
cards? I think it hurts it more. With this vintage, like when you get a 9 vintage card, like people don't understand that like a 9 vintage or even an 8 vintage, sometimes even 7 arguably, is almost like a 10 in modern times.
See, and that is the comparison I want to make, right? So just to give the other side of the coin, because again, I don't know the answer, right? So listening to you talk, I mean,
it's all speculative. I'm speculating. I'm talking out my ass.
I mean, and I think a lot of, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I'm just genuinely curious, because the other side of the coin, just to kind of give you like my thought on the other side of the coin, is that I think about something like baseball cards, right? Like when I think about like baseball cards, for example, I think about like, because baseball cards have been around a lot longer than obviously Pokemon cards have, and when you look at it, right, yes, like you have
the first like official sports like trading cards. I'd have to guess yes over football.
I mean, baseball again is one of the OGs, like I said, in terms of sports in general. So I would imagine that it definitely is one of the older like.
Sorry, I'm getting off topic. Continue.
But regardless, the point is that when you look at like sports cards, like like you have your modern Victor Wembanyama and your whatever, all your big time sports athletes, and your out of 99s autoed and blah 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 blah. And those are crazy expensive, and people will pay mad money for them, especially if they're graded in a PSA 10. But then you look at like a Mickey Mantle card. That card does not have to be in very high grade.
Dude, it could be raw. It could be a 1.
To be worth a lot of money, right? And I'm picking Mickey Mantle because I know him. But having said that, it could be like a lot of different people, a lot of different like vintage sports cards. And at that point, like, dude, just to have the card in your collection is like, again, probably going to be one of your grail cards, because it's probably going to command a similar price regardless of what the grade is, compared to some of these like modern, and that's kind of like the other side of the coin here, right? Is again, like using like the Dragonites I've been collecting, right? Like that, like Dragonite Reverse Holo EX Rocket Returns, a card like that, like, dude, if you're a Dragonite collector and you tend to agree with me that it's the coolest looking Dragonite artwork there is, dude, that's the kind of card that, dude, again, that is like vintage baseball player rarity levels where, again, it's a 9. Dude, there's only 200 of these in existence, 50 that are better. You know what I mean? Again, and I look at a card like that, and I picked a bad example because I paid a lot of money for that card, right? So it already is like very valuable. But there's a lot. I could have named a
there's a bunch of those type of those scenarios.
That was a bad example.
No, it wasn't a bad one. It's just because again, there's scenarios like that all over the place.
All over the place, and it could be again. You look at some of these cards, especially when you go back there, and you just look at the value of them.
Look at the Hoopa. There you go, prime example. Low costing card. Pop report's ridiculously low.
And all of a sudden, it's just like the market recalibrated its price. You know what I mean? And that's, again, that's kind of like an in-betweener because that's like a 2016 card. But yeah, it just makes me think because I think that right now when you look at vintage has been spiking. Nothing has not been spiking in Pokemon. But I look at it and I still feel like when I look at it, I feel like there is a lot of potential there. But again, it really comes down to which of those fundamentals
is going to trump.
Is going to drive. It's going to push the market. And I'm sure they'll kind of jostle with each other, and sometimes as the market moves, like one will take precedent over the other, and it'll flip flop, from time to time. But like it is kind of makes me think, because that's we're again going to your point of like, what's next? Like that's where you're always trying to be in the collectible space.
Yeah.
And in sports, it literally is like which player is going to improve. In Pokemon, it's like even more speculative than that. You know what I mean? It's like,
but not really, because it's also kind of like, but yeah, which Pokemon's going to be like the popular one? Which one's going to be the desirable?
Who's going to get featured in an upcoming?
Yeah, I think that is very similar to like sports cards and that. And honestly, it's even more terrifying because at least with sports cards, like okay, like you can kind of have like some stats. You can kind of have like, well, I guess they're both. Again, you have stats. There's polls of who's. Say people's favorite Pokemon are. You can ask people, and I mean, yeah, I think they're very similar in that, at least in that regard. I don't know, man. I mean, it's going to be interesting, to say the least, in the next what Pokemon's going to be doing in the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, it's just going to be, I don't know. It's nuts right now, though.
I mean, dude, and we can kind of like. Take it home right there for today's conversation. But that is, I was talking to Andres about it. My brother Andres, for those of you who don't know, TCG enthusiast Andres. Literally, I was talking to Andres.
That guy's a legend. Check his channel out.
Legend. I was talking to Andres, and yeah, I was telling him that like I genuinely am just super curious to see how it's all going to play out. Because I feel like right now we are in a place where he was basically saying that like. The way he was talking in a nutshell was you could tell that the place he was coming from was everything's only going to keep going up, right? You can buy whatever you want, put it in the closet, and you're going to do well, right? That was kind of like where he was coming from. And to his point, that absolutely is what it feels like right now.
Yeah.
It feels that way in the stock market. It feels that way in the collectible space. It feels like literally every time you sell something, you regret it because it's worth more. A month later.
Yeah, but I feel like that's always been the case, especially like in the market and the collectibles, because that's always over time. It's just the fact that it's happening so fast and so quickly.
But what I'm saying is that literally that usually in normal circumstances in a market not like this, you're operating with some sort of like hesitation. There's like some sort of like filter.
Not just complete gung-ho. And
I'm going to buy literally whatever I see in the store. It doesn't even matter if it says Pokemon and it's sealed and it's there at MSRP, I'm buying it. That is not usually how it is, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, to his point, that is what the market is right now. And that is honestly, it feels like it's never going to get better, right? That's literally what it feels like. Whereas honestly, I think that if I asked people, went around and interviewed like Pokemon fans out there, or collectible fans in general, do you think these Scarlet and Violet boxes, it's even possible for them to go down to pick a price? You know what I mean? Like whatever. Like literally, and the one I was specifically talking about, Destined Rivals. Do you think it's possible for, I'll tell you exactly what I said to him. Do you think that Pokemon will ever, I could be 5 years from now, have booster boxes back up on their website where you can just go on the website and buy them? Do you think that will ever happen again?
I think it's possible.
You think it's possible? See,
I think it's possible, but it hasn't happened yet. So
See, and this is the perfect way to say it, because I told Andres, listen to me. It feels that way. That is never going to happen again. The idea of being able to go on the Pokemon Center and just scroll through and buy cards, it seems like a laughable thought right now. It literally feels like it probably may never happen again. When my professional side of me and what I know to be true makes me look at you and say, it 100% will happen. It inevitably will happen. If it doesn't, that business will fail, and Pokemon does not fail. Dude, they are going to get this under control, and we will get to a point. It may be Mega Evolution set 12, if they even go that far, but it might be way later in this block.
Or it might be the next block.
It might be the next block. Who knows when it would actually be? I'm not saying it's going to happen today or tomorrow, but I'm saying that right now it feels like it may never happen.
And usually when it feels like that, that's usually when
we're hitting the top of a market. That's kind of like, again, or at least we're getting to the point where like you need to start watching out for that kind of thing, where things could start getting definitely potentially inherently risky, because when you're operating in that kind of capacity, you're not thinking about the consequences. You think there are no consequences to doing this, and that's when things get super, super dangerous. When I can sit here and tell you Pokemon will have boxes on their website at some point or another. They'll be $160 or whatever
the new MSRP price
is. It might go up, because honestly, if I was Pokemon, I would take this opportunity to raise my MSRP. You all are out there paying $300 a box for Destined Rivals. But the reality is, like I told them, I said, at the end of the day, if they start printing up those waves and boxes start coming out of the closet at the same time, a year from now, Destined Rivals boxes could be on the Pokemon Center website for $160. 100% that could happen. It doesn't feel like it's possible right now, and maybe it never will happen with Destined Rivals particularly, but eventually it will happen. Eventually there will be boxes on the website for whatever MSRP is, and again, it's funny because it doesn't feel like that right now, and it's funny because again, the collector side of me operates with like, just like everybody else, like freaking out, like I want this, it's only ever going to go up, I'm missing my opportunity, oh, what am I doing, I need to have all this stuff. But then like the CFP side of me is like, I know a euphoric market when I see one. You know what I mean? Again, at the end of the day. And again, when people start telling me we're never going back there, it's never going to happen again. Dude,
it'll be back.
That happens every time. Every time you get to this stage in like a euphoric market, that's where the comments are coming out. It's like, oh, this is how it's always going to be forever. And it's like, no, it won't. It just won't.
It wouldn't. You're right. It doesn't make sense. And again, to your point, it puts the company at a huge risk, and they don't fail.
And that's
they
what
do
I'm
a
saying.
great job.
I'm saying that is not a good business model for them. They do not want, again, for them, they do not want to sell out instantaneously, as they do not want something to be being purchased off the printer the minute they get it off. That's not what Pokemon's company wants. They're not maximizing their profit potential if that's the case. They're leaving money on the table if they're doing that. So again, at the end of the day, they do not want to do that. They want to get this into some sort of sweet spot where they're maximizing it for their business. And in order for that to happen, boxes need to be able to get onto the website.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're leaving money on the table because they're giving it to all of you to make scalp. And so again, boxes eventually will be back on the website. But it's funny because I asked Andres, and Andres is like, I don't think it'll ever happen. And I was like, honestly, I think probably people really agree with you. But yeah, I'm pretty certain they're wrong. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
I agree, dude. I mean, again, that's why I said, I mean, I'd like to say yes. It's possible. Anything's possible. But like I said, it just hasn't happened. I mean, when was the last time we were able to go on and buy products? No problem. Something. I would probably say right when I picked up Astral Radiance. I don't remember when that was. Maybe like 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah, I mean,
or 5 or 6 months ago.
It's wild. It's because
was the last time you can go on and at least find something from like Sword and Shield there.
Yeah, back when I was telling you when I didn't do it, I told you to do it, but I never did it like a fool. I was like, oh, there's still Fusion Strike Pokemon Center ETBs on the website for $60 or whatever they were, $50.
$49.99 because
Fusion Strike's going crazy, but there's still ETBs here on the website. Why didn't I buy any of those?
Yeah, dude.
Again,
when you can go on TCG Player and see it's selling for more than the Pokemon Center website and it's available, people aren't looking.
And here's the thing. The thing about it is that like the other thing that's a kind of like it's like misleading and confusing is it feels like we've been in this like super crazy market forever. It feels like it's been forever, but it's only been like 6 months. In reality, January is really like the beginning of the year is when it really started to like.
When was
really
when did?
I'm not talking about when things started to get crazy. I'm saying when like the market started to like universally lift.
But that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, when did it become like to the point where like Pokemon had like a queue system? Because that pretty much signifies exactly when that happened.
But no, I think that preceded it a little bit.
Okay.
I think the queue thing, I think them instilling that, I think, yes, there was a lot of like, a lot of Pokemon Center drops that were like having issues before the whole market started to like, you literally look, dude, every single chart on Collector, if I pull up a 12-month chart, it's down here, January, December and January, and then it treks upward to like, basically like the April, May time frame, and some of them have continued to go up, made another leg upward, but really like everything from where it was January, December, January is like a significant leg upward. Everything.
Honestly,
it's crazy.
I forgot. It's exactly what I originally
TCG Pocket?
When Pocket came out.
Yeah.
October 30th, 2024.
There you go. And
I feel like the moment Pocket came out.
And that started it, but literally it was like a trailing effect. It literally was like you saw like a massive influx. You could see kind of signs of something's happening here. But in terms of like the market being the way that it has
You were right, like 6 months ago.
Yeah, it's like 6 months. So again, that when you think about it like that too, it's like, dude, like that makes sense. Dude, we're in a bull market that's 6 months deep into it, like or like 9 months maybe if you want to give it that. Dude, this thing definitely still has legs, for sure. That's why it feels the way that it does. But to sit there and go as far as to be like, they'll never have boxes on the Pokemon Center website ever again, that's where like you need to like separate being in a bull market from turning my brain off and acting in euphoria. You know what I mean? Again, at the end of the day, like, but dude, having said that, dude, you seen Pokemon Center 151 ETBs? Have you seen them?
I haven't looked. How bad is it?
John, we sold ours for $600.
I think I sold both of mine. Yeah, I'm out.
$900.
Fuck. How is that even possible? Oh,
bro, it's just
dude, we're idiots.
Stop.
We're idiots.
We're not idiots.
I know.
Dude.
It's funny. But I knew. We both discussed it. And we both said, like, it was that feeling of just, like, convincing ourselves that, like, oh, yeah, like, you know, again, I know we did fine. We X'd our money beautifully. We got out at the right time.
Simply 10X.
But, I know.
Simply.
But it's just so funny that, like, in the back of your in the back of your mind, dude, but again, dude, in the back of your mind, dude, oh, my gosh. Because that was what, like, 2 months ago?
If that
11 packs, a promo worth $120, and the logo, like on the box.
Yep.
900
people. Listen to this. We are in a market where right now, Journey Together regular booster boxes are more than the Journey Together enhanced booster boxes that come with a free promo. Otherwise, exactly the same. So the one...
Wait, does the box look the same on the outside?
I think it looks a little bit different.
Dude.
Not the same box.
Not the same box. It's completely different, Alex.
We live in a world where a box with 36 packs in it costs more than a box with 36 packs in it.
With a promo.
Bro. Collector's paradise.
Collector's paradise.
But again... It ain't gonna stay this way forever. And if you think that it is, you're in danger. So again, just know the situation.
Keep your wits about you, people.
Just know the deal. I think we've kept people here long enough for this week, but I think it's gonna be fun. I think we're gonna have more to talk about.
Again, when the time goes as quickly as it does, but it's been 40-something minutes. That's amazing.
Yes,
that's what it feels.
So I think that I would love to start. There's a couple topics I want to talk about. Like I said, ultimately, I definitely would like to talk about selling on the way you transact cards, predominantly like TCG Player, Facebook, and the pros and cons of transacting cards versus transacting stocks and other investments.
That'll be even more interesting considering the tax, changes for this year. So that'd maybe a good topic for early next year.
Taxes are definitely something we can talk about, like I said, because obviously, again, there's some, we'll say, gray areas tax-wise when it comes to TCGs.
I don't think we should be promoting that.
I mean, I'm not promoting it. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying y'all are some sketchballs out there.
Please just, use the bunny ears so that they know.
So the people that don't see us can know that I use air quotes.
And at least I can say as a witness I saw air quotes. There we go. There we go. Thank you, sir.
I mean, again, at the end of the day, I know what all you people trying to sell on Facebook are doing. Okay?
I know. You will be caught. I know what you're
doing. All right. So that's enough for this one. We'll be back to talk about more cardboard and money next week, if we can make it that long.
As it all intertwines.
Dude, we might even be able to do this one more than once a week.
I think so.
Yeah, I think there's potential for it.
I agree.
But either way, we'll be back. My name is Alex.
My name is John.
And we are the Cardboard. What's the name of our podcast now?
I don't even know.
Cardboard Finance?
Cardboard Finance. Let's go with that.
All right, there we
it's
go.
A work in progress.
It's money. It's cardboard. It's amazing.
$900 for a 151 Pokemon Center exclusive ETB. Ah!
I swear if John sells that King for $500, I'm going to lose it.